unless I have delays, probably take me about an hour, to get down there and stuff.
Okay.
A Sunday Skype conversation among family members on 2 different continents. SwissInfo journalist Veronica DeVore left the United States to come and work in Bern 2 years ago. Keeping in touch with her family isn't that hard, but it was a much bigger deal for her American grandfather back in the 1940s to communicate with a Swiss fiancé.
Hi, Grandpa. How are you? I was just wondering how, when you were in the U.S. and Grandma was in Switzerland, how did you communicate with each other?
By letter. And if she got more than one page, she outdid herself.
Digital communication has become second nature now, but handwritten letters are something we still use for special occasions. When we travel, we might send a postcard to family and friends. And instead of writing a group email for a work colleague who's leaving, we sign a big communal card. The physical object itself, with all the different handwriting, is an important part of the farewell gift. The handwritten letter may have become rare, but it was a luxury in the Middle Ages, when only the rich could afford paper and ink. These 2 items were still expensive until the 19th century, so people crammed as much as possible onto a page, as anthropologist Anselm Zurflu explains.
There you have someone who has very fine handwriting, but very readable, so it can say a lot of things on one page. That was the whole point.
Sometimes, to save space, people even used a form of writing where lines were written in different directions. But as charming as they look, do these letters say something different compared with today's emails and text messages? Not really, it seems. For the most part, handwritten letters were also full of day-to-day mundane details. Professor Bruno Moretti of the University of Bern is taking part in an international study on new types of digital communication.
It's not that we communicate more or less. The purpose of communication has remained the same, but the new means push us to produce other types of communication.
Spontaneity is the most interesting trait of digital correspondence.
The more spontaneous the use of language is, the more interesting it is, because it gives immediate clues as to how language works for the speaker. One important feature is humor, creativity, which is what makes us humans special, and why we find these texts very interesting.
Quella che ci rende speciali, e quindi questo è ciò che rende per noi molto interessante questi testi.
It's become easier today for complete strangers to connect through social media and start communicating with one another. The Museum of the Swiss Abroad, for example, has thousands of friends on Facebook. Some are descendants of expats, but they can't visit Switzerland easily. The internet brings them closer to their ancestors' homeland.
There are those who ask us about their ancestors, and we explain that there are special sites. All this means that there is a real exchange. We have already published books thanks to Facebook, and created exhibitions because people proposed something through Facebook.
Et aussi des expositions parce que les gens ont dit mais moi j'ai quelque chose à proposer, est-ce que ça vous intéresse?
Communication student Florian Baccano is half Swiss and half French and grew up in Bordeaux. Now in Bern for a few months of work experience, he says his smartphone has become his best friend.
Effectivement, ça change de pouvoir communiquer avec autant de facilité.
Communicating with such ease has been a big change in my life. When I was little, it was expensive to call from Switzerland to my family in France, or vice versa. It was impossible for me. My phone's limit would have been used up in 10 minutes if I'd called abroad.
De la France vers la Suisse d'ailleurs, on ne pouvait pas. Enfin, moi, personnellement, je ne pouvais pas. J'avais un forfait classique qui disparaissait en 10 minutes si je téléphonais à l'étranger.
Although the digital world means people can be in touch much more than before, there are some things that a gesture still conveys best.
It was good to talk to you. Talk to you later.